Hey there people, I know it's been a while since I did the last video. I mean, it's been around a month, but you don't know how much crap I've been doing recently, and you know how hard it is to get a camera these days. It's ridiculous. But anyway, we got a new film review, we're here to do it, so let's do it. Cue the intro music. Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the episode 55 and welcome to a brand new film review, and today's film review will be of Oz the Great and Powerful. Now this is a film I've been looking forward to seeing for quite some time. Obviously Sam Raimi is attached to it and I loved his work in the first two Spider-Man films. They didn't quite like Drag Me to Hell, but when I heard it was attached to this film, my hype got up. It seemed like an interesting idea to go out and create a prequel to one of the most famous films of all time, like, you know, The Wizard of Oz. So yeah, I went to see the film on the weekend. It was actually pretty good and well worth your time, and I'm going to tell you why in this review. So the story of the film involves Oscar Diggs, a small-time magician who works at a circus, who doesn't have the best of work ethics and is always looking out for number one. However, his life is changed when he is whisked away from the land of Kansas to the land of Oz, a pretty glittery, wonderful place where he is mistaken for a powerful wizard who is prophesied to bring peace to the land. And since there are riches involved, Oscar naturally just goes along with it. And along his travels, he happens to come across three different witches in the form of Theodora, Eleonora, and Glinda, who question his abilities as the prophesied wizard. So along with his new companions, Finley and China Girl, they go out on an epic quest for truth to find out what's really going on, and Oscar has to use his abilities with, you know, his magic stuff and his wit to try and uncover the truth and sort out the situation before it gets out of hand. And that is the story synopsis of the film without going into the area of spoilers. I thought the story in this film was pretty good. It was nicely paced and it had a few twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. You could also tell that this film was definitely directed by Sam Raimi. There is definitely a style sort of littered all over the place, and it happens to have that sort of element of horror with like some areas of suspense and jump scares in there that are reminiscent of some of his previous films. And I also like the visual and verbal references to the classic film Wizard of Oz as well. They were nicely done. Overall, the story was pretty good, though it wasn't as good as I'd hoped. Now, one of the key aspects about the film that really makes it work is the characters, so let's start talking about them with James Franco as Oscar Diggs. Now, James Franco was really good in the film. At first he comes across as a bit of a jerk. He's a liar, a con man, a ladies man, and he has a way with words and really just messes with people's emotions. He's just really not nice at the start of the movie. But over the course of the film, we see him change and we see him help people in ways that he couldn't back in Kansas. And it's nice to see that transformation in the character. Franco just brought a lot of, like, you know, flair and tenacity to his role. I thought he was good, and he was pretty hilarious in a good number of scenes. And then there's Mila Kunis as Theodora in the film. She looked amazing in the film. And while her character was alright for me, I just couldn't connect to her like the rest of the cast. I don't know what it is. Her performance wasn't that bad. It's just that overall I just didn't really like it that much. And then there was Rachel Weisz in the film as Eleonora. She looked immaculate. I swear Rachel Weisz is one of the women I could stare at for the rest of eternity, and she doesn't get older, she just looks still just amazing as hell. But anyway, putting that aside, she was great in this film. She did have a lot of charisma in the role. She was very conniving, interesting, and I thought she was cool. And then there was Michelle Williams as Glinda in the film. She brought a nice, soft, charming, and really good performance to her role. I thought she was nice, and yeah, I have no problems with her either. And then there was Zach Braff as the assistant in Kansas, but mainly plays the voice of Finley in this film. Now honestly, I'm not really a fan of Zach Braff. I don't watch Scrubs, I don't like the show, I don't see the obsession. But anyway, in this film, he was good. Finley was a nice little flying monkey who you just wanted to hold. He was very cute and I liked him. He was pretty funny in his role, and yeah, Zach Braff, for the first time, this is the actual first film role that I actually like him in. And then there was Joey King as the China Girl in this film. Her character was absolutely just sweet and adorable, and like, you know, every scene with her in there when like Oscar and her happen to have like their little connecting moments and all that, it's just so touching. Like, you know, if there is any heart in this film, it's definitely in the scenes that involve the China Girl and Oscar. It was some good stuff. And there were some other great performances from Bill Combs, Bruce Campbell, and Tony Cox as Nuck. He was just the best. He's just the best guy ever. I thought he was just hilarious in the scenes that he was used in. As for the presentation of the film, I thought it was pretty darn good. There was some great camera angles and some nice cinematography used, and the CGI that was used to go about and create this landscape for Oz was really good. It doesn't look quite like the original, there's just a whole lot of new stuff in there, but the way in which they reimagined the world and kept some of those visual references from the old film in this film was pretty good, especially with the Emerald City and all that sort of stuff. However, there's certain points in the film where the CGI does look a little inconsistent, doesn't look as realistic as it could do, and with some of the witch fights it does just look a bit questionable. And as for the soundtrack was really good. I thought it was lovely. It was done by one of my favorite film composers ever, Danny Elfman, and the way in which it's done is not in the same sort of basic style that Danny Elfman does a lot of his film soundtracks in, but there were just a few noticeable aspects that I could tie to, say, Edward Scissorhands or The Nightmare Before Christmas. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Oz the Great and Powerful was a pretty good movie, and it's probably the first film of 2013 that I'd actually want to see a second time round. What really makes it work is the cast and the presentation. The story is alright, but doesn't have that same sort of quality that the classic film did. Whether you'll like it as much as the original or whether you accept it as a prequel to the original is down to you, but I'd say go out and watch it. As for me, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I did enjoy it, not as much as I'd hoped because I set my expectations far too high, but it was still pretty good, and yeah, just go out and watch it. So that's been my review, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of it? Comment, like, subscribe maybe, and just tell me what you thought of the movie, and join the revolution that is the Hypersonic 55. So until the next time, I'll see you later.